Before you go any further, listen closely. At 11:11, heaven aligns in a way we don't always understand. But one thing is certain, Jesus uses moments like this to reach us, to remind us that we are not alone, not forgotten, not abandoned. And today he is proving that to you. There are moments in life when you hear something so unexpected, so unusual, and so personal that it shakes you awake from the inside. This is one of those moments. God says Elon Musk just spoke about you, not because the world knows your name yet, not because cameras are following your every move, not because you sit in rooms of power or influence, but because what is on your life is bigger than your current visibility. What is inside you is greater than your present condition, and what heaven sees in you is not what people casually overlook. Let me ask you something. Have you ever felt like your life carried a meaning you could not fully explain? Have you ever felt different, cold, stretched, restless, as though you were made for something beyond the ordinary? Have you ever wondered why your journey has been so intense, why your battles have been so strange, why your mind keeps reaching towards something larger than your surroundings? Then perhaps this message is not random. Perhaps this is your confirmation that what makes you feel out of place is actually what marks you for purpose. When we hear a name like Elon Musk, many people immediately think of innovation, risk, vision, technology, disruption, space, artificial intelligence, and the future. They think of a man whose words can move markets, shape conversations, and influence the way millions think about tomorrow. So what does it mean when the message says he just spoke about you? It means your life is connected to something future-oriented. It means your existence carries relevance beyond your current struggles. It means that while others may only see your delays, heaven sees your design. While others may only see your limitations, heaven sees your capacity. And while people may judge you based on where you are right now, God is speaking based on where you are going. So let me ask you, have you been measuring yourself by your present condition, while God has already written your story according to your future assignment? Have you been calling yourself small when heaven calls you strategic? Have you been dismissing your own importance because you do not yet see the full picture? This message is not really about celebrity. It is about significance. It is about the possibility that your life matters more than you think. Elon Musk, in this kind of script, represents the world of big ideas, bold movement, and transformational thinking. He represents the language of people who look ahead instead of just looking around. And if the message says he spoke about you, then the deeper meaning may be this: you were not created merely to survive the times. You were created to understand something about them. You were created to carry insight, resilience, and perhaps even solutions. Have you noticed how some people can live through chaos and only complain, while others live through the same chaos and begin to see purpose? Which one are you becoming? Are you only reacting to life, or are you being prepared to influence it? Are your struggles just pain, or are they training? There are people hearing this right now who feel unseen. You have ideas that nobody claps for. You carry dreams that seem too large for your environment. You think deeply, feel deeply, question deeply, and sometimes that makes you feel lonely. Sometimes it makes you feel misunderstood. Sometimes you wonder whether your thoughts are too much, whether your hopes are unrealistic, whether your intensity is a burden. But what if your intensity is not your problem? What if it is evidence of the weight of your calling? What if the reason ordinary life has never fully satisfied you is because you were not designed for passive existence? What if the reason you cannot settle is because something inside you knows you were meant to build, shape, create, speak, heal, lead, or awaken something in this generation? God says Elon Musk just spoke about you, and the spiritual meaning is this: your life has entered a conversation larger than you realize. There is something about you that belongs in the future. There is something about you that refuses to die even after disappointment, failure, rejection, and delay. Think about your own story for a moment. How many times were you almost broken, but somehow still standing? How many times did life tell you to shrink, but something inside refused? How many times did you want to give up on yourself, yet a quiet voice kept telling you there was more? Why do you think that is? Why has your spirit kept surviving what should have shut you down? Could it be because your purpose has always been speaking louder than your pain, even when you could not hear it clearly? This is also a message about value. The world tends to honor people after results appear. It celebrates what is already visible. It respects what is already proven. But God often speaks to people while they are still hidden. God names purpose before the crowd recognizes it. God sees completion where you still see fragments. So if the message sounds strange, that is because divine language often sounds strange before it becomes reality. Before anyone builds a great thing, there is first a strange conviction. Before anyone changes a field, there is first a season of isolation. Before anyone steps into major influence, there is often a long season where nobody understands them. Does that sound familiar to you? Have you been in a season where you feel hidden, stretched, and almost disconnected from everyone around you? Have you been carrying a vision that feels difficult to explain? Then maybe this is not a season of irrelevance. Maybe it is a season of formation. What if Elon Musk speaking about you symbolizes that your life is part of a bigger shift in the world? What if it means you are not merely here to pay bills, repeat routines, and disappear quietly? What if you are here to contribute something? And contribution does not always mean global fame. Sometimes it means the courage to think differently. Sometimes it means the willingness to solve problems nobody else wants to touch. Sometimes it means carrying integrity in a corrupt time. Sometimes it means refusing to lose your soul in a distracted age. Sometimes it means creating one thing, saying one word, starting one movement, or helping one person in a way that changes generations. So ask yourself honestly, what have you been sitting on? What gift have you been downplaying? What voice have you been silencing? What assignment have you been postponing because you keep waiting to feel fully ready? Another meaning inside this message is that your mind matters. Elon Musk is often associated with ideas, systems, engineering, possibilities, and unconventional thinking. So if this message connects you to that symbolism, maybe God is highlighting your own thought life. Maybe he is reminding you that the battle around your mind has never been random. Maybe the confusion, overthinking, fear, self-doubt, and pressure you have experienced are connected to the potential of your mind. Think about it. Why does the enemy attack what carries no value? Why would your peace be fought so hard if your thoughts were ordinary? Why would your vision be challenged so intensely if it had no future impact? Could it be that one of the greatest battles of your life has been over the ideas you were supposed to protect, develop, and release? Many of you have spent too long thinking your uniqueness was a flaw. You thought your different perspective was a burden. You thought your unusual questions meant you were too complicated. You thought your refusal to fit in meant something was wrong with you. But what if God made you that way on purpose? What if your discomfort with shallow living is holy discomfort? What if your inability to settle for what everyone else accepts is part of your assignment? What if your unusual wiring is not dysfunction, but design? I want you to think deeply about that. How much of yourself have you rejected simply because it was not easily understood by others? How much purpose have you buried under the pressure to appear normal? This message also carries warning, because when heaven reminds you of your significance, it is not to inflate your ego, it is to awaken your responsibility. If your life matters, then your choices matter. If your voice matters, then your discipline matters. If your future carries weight, then your habits matter. You cannot keep treating your calling casually and expect uncommon outcomes. You cannot keep feeding distraction and expect clarity. You cannot keep living beneath your capacity and blame the world for your stagnation. So here is the question. If your life truly carries future significance, are you living like it? Are you protecting your time? Are you sharpening your mind? Are you healing your wounds? Are you developing your gifts? Are you learning, building, preparing, praying, and becoming? Or are you waiting for a sign while ignoring the work that has already been placed in your hands? There is something powerful about the idea that someone associated with the future would speak about you. It suggests movement. It suggests timing. It suggests that you may be entering a season where what once felt impossible starts becoming necessary. The things you used to dream about from a distance may soon require your participation. The doors you thought belonged to other people may soon begin to open toward you. But here is the challenge. Can you believe that before you see it? Can you honor your assignment while it still looks small? Can you stay faithful in obscurity? Can you keep preparing when nobody is validating you? Can you trust that what God placed in you is real, even if the world has not yet reflected it back to you? Some of you are frustrated because your life has not moved as fast as you expected. You thought by now you would be further ahead. You thought by now you would have clear success, clearer direction, stronger confirmation, more visible fruit. But delay does not mean cancellation. Hiddenness does not mean insignificance. And preparation does not mean punishment. Let me ask you this. What if the waiting season was not empty? What if it was building depth in you? What if the silence was training your discernment? What if the setbacks were teaching you endurance? What if the closed doors were protecting you from entering too early? Would you see your story differently then? Would you stop cursing the slow process if you knew it was preparing you for something weighty enough to require stronger character? The phrase spoke about you also suggests identity. It suggests that your life is being named in a realm beyond your current awareness. It suggests that there is a conversation about your destiny that has already started. Not because you are better than others, but because every person carries purpose, and some people are finally entering the season where they must stop ignoring it. So I ask you, who have you believed yourself to be? Only a victim, only overlooked, only delayed, only forgotten? Or can you begin to see yourself as someone being shaped for a reason? Can you begin to accept that your life may carry influence beyond your imagination? Can you allow yourself to believe that your story is not random, your gifts are not accidental, and your survival is not meaningless? There are people listening who have been called weird, unrealistic, too intense, too ambitious, too emotional, too spiritual, too thoughtful, too much. And after hearing that enough times, you started shrinking. You started censoring your own hunger. You started apologizing for the very qualities that may be connected to your assignment. But what if the thing they criticized is the very thing heaven intends to use? What if your depth is needed in a shallow world? What if your questions are needed in a distracted world? What if your courage to think differently is needed in a world full of imitation? Have you spent years trying to become less of who you are, when God has been asking you to become more honest about who you really are? The message becomes even deeper when you realize that Elon Musk, as a symbol, is tied to breakthrough thinking. He speaks about rockets when others are satisfied with roads. He speaks about the future when others are trapped in the present. He pushes past normal limits, even when people doubt him. Now, this script is not about copying any one person. It is about recognizing a principle. Vision often looks unreasonable before it looks revolutionary. So maybe God is telling you that your ideas, your instincts, your unusual burdens, and your sense of possibility should not be dismissed so quickly. Have you abandoned something because people laughed at it too early? Have you buried a dream because it felt too large for your current life? Have you confused the size of the vision with the impossibility of the vision? This is where faith and purpose meet. God does not always reveal your full future in one moment, because if he did, it might overwhelm you. Instead, he gives you glimpses, burdens, questions, and inner nudges. He gives you dissatisfaction with the ordinary. He gives you moments where something inside says, there must be more. He gives you a vision before he gives you the platform. He gives you internal fire before he gives you public fruit. So what are you doing with that fire? Are you numbing it? Are you distracting yourself from it? Are you waiting for someone else to explain you to yourself? Or are you finally ready to sit with the weight of what God may be saying about your life? Do not miss this. The purpose of this message is not to entertain fantasy. It is to awaken responsibility, expectation, and self-examination. If heaven is highlighting you, then you must ask serious questions. Are you becoming the person your future requires? Are you healing from the patterns that could sabotage you? Are you breaking your dependence on approval? Are you learning how to endure misunderstanding? Are you developing discipline strong enough to carry influence without collapsing under it? These are not small questions. These are the questions that separate people who dream from people who are actually prepared when the dream begins to move. There is also comfort in this message, because some of you have felt invisible for so long that you started believing invisibility was your identity. You assumed nobody saw the effort, the pain, the inner growth, the constant rebuilding, the silent prayers, the mental battles, the private obedience. But heaven saw it. God saw every time you continued when quitting would have been easier. God saw every night you fought thoughts that tried to bury your future. God saw every time you chose growth over bitterness, learning over self-pity, perseverance over escape. So what if this message is also God's way of saying, you are not as hidden as you think? What if your season of being unseen is ending? What if the things formed in private are preparing to step into public relevance? And even if no famous person ever literally says your name, the meaning still stands. The deeper truth is that your life has consequence. Your choices echo, your gifts matter, your growth matters, your healing matters, your voice matters. The world may never fully understand your assignment, but that does not make it small. Many of the most powerful callings do not begin with applause. They begin with burden. They begin with vision. They begin with private surrender. They begin with courage to believe something before there is evidence. So can you do that? Can you believe in the value of your life before the crowd confirms it? Can you move with purpose before success becomes visible? Can you honor the process before the results arrive? So now I ask you directly, and I want you to really think about it. What if this message is your invitation to stop playing small? What if it is your call to stop waiting for permission to become who you were created to be? What if it is your sign to take your mind seriously, your healing seriously, your ideas seriously, your discipline seriously, and your future seriously? What if the reason this message stirs you is because part of you already knows it is time to stop doubting your design, time to stop shrinking your vision, time to stop treating your purpose like a side thought, time to rise, prepare, and move with intention. God says Elon Musk just spoke about you. In other words, the future is calling, possibility is calling, responsibility is calling, vision is calling. The part of you that was never meant to sleep through life is being awakened. The part of you that carries innovation, conviction, depth, and courage is being summoned forward. And the question is no longer whether you feel perfectly ready. The question is whether you are willing to respond. Will you keep hiding inside fear? Will you keep explaining away your own significance? Will you keep waiting for a louder sign? Or will you take this moment as a holy interruption and begin to live as if your life truly matters? Because it does, more than you know, more than people have told you, more than your past mistakes suggest, more than your present condition reveals. And if this message has reached you, maybe it is because the season of underestimating yourself must come to an end. Maybe it is because the conversation about your future has already begun. Maybe it is because God is reminding you that what is on your life cannot stay buried forever. So lift your head, guard your mind, strengthen your spirit, refuse to belittle what God placed in you, start preparing like someone whose life carries weight, start thinking like someone whose future matters, start healing like someone who cannot afford to drag old chains into a new season, start moving like someone who understands that hidden does not mean forgotten, delayed does not mean denied, unseen does not mean unchosen. And as you leave this message, ask yourself one final question. If God has been trying to tell you that your life holds more than you imagined, what will you do with that truth now? Will you ignore it? Will you delay again? Or will this be the moment you finally begin to walk like the person heaven has been speaking about all along?